This is part 2 of the subject. Starting from the same hadith, narrated by Abdullah, the Prophet mentioned the Messiah Dajjal in front of the people saying, Allah is not one-eyed, while Masih Dajjal, or the Messiah, is blind in the right eye, and his left eye is like a bulging out grape. While sleeping near the Kaaba last night, I saw in a dream a man of brown color, the best one you can see amongst brown color, and his hair was long that it fell between his shoulders. His hair was lank, and water was dribbling from his head. And he was placing his hand on the shoulder of 2 men while circumambulating the Kaaba. Go around the Kaaba 7 times. Well, he didn't specify one number. I asked, who is this? They replied, this is Jesus, son of Mary. Behind him I saw a man who had very curly hair and was blind in the right eye, resembling Ibn Qatan, an infidel in appearance. He was placing his hand on the shoulder of a person who was performing tawaf around the Kaaba. I asked them, who is this? They replied, Messiah Dajjal, the Antichrist. That was a metaphoric passage, but you can see that Jesus' color was a more darker color. And according to the Bible, because like I said, when I quote about Jesus to the Christians, I always quote from the Bible. When I quote to the Muslims, I quote from Quran and Hadith. In Revelation chapter 1, open it. Verse number 15. It says, his feet were like the fine brass, as if refined in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. What does that mean? When you say that the feet was like fine brass, doesn't that show? You know the color of brass is tan. It's like a golden color, but a little bit more reddish. It's tan. If the feet was the color of brass, then the body should be the color of brass. Because not just feet, the whole body is like that. So this is proof that what we see is that Jesus' true color was a more tan color. But what we see in images and through movies in different places of the picture of Jesus is a picture of a sun god statue or a different statue away from the real Jesus. We're seeing a power Jesus from a historical Jesus. That's what we're seeing. But what we're trying to implement is the historical Jesus that walked this face of the earth, who he really was. Now, answering the first question, why is it important to know about discerned worship religions? Because it spread throughout the whole world in such a quick time. Falsehood spread throughout the whole world in a quick time. And now, inshallah, according to the Quran, and those who have an open mind, inshallah, the truth shall prevail and falsehood shall diminish. So that was the purpose of the first question. That was the real reason why this subject was important. To take away the falsehood from the truth. And inshallah, the Quran that we have here is the real proof. The truth. Now, second question. Is Christianity a Son of God religion that's modern? The answer I will say is yes. But before I can do that, I would like to prove it to you from passages. Passage name, Mithras equal Christianity. Because Mithraism is really a Son of God religion, but Christianity is a modern form of it. Let's see what he says. This religion, cloaked in mystery and secrecy, has captivated the imaginations of scholars for generations. Many facts discovered shed vital light on the cultural dynamic that led to the rise of Christianity. Let's give the points of how Christianity and Mithraism are relevant. Hundreds of years ago before Jesus, according to the Mithraic religion, 3 wise men of Persia came to visit a baby Savior God. Who they call Jesus? The Savior. Savior God, Mithra. Bring him gifts of gold, myrrh, and frankincense. Mithra was born on December 25th. Jesus was, according to Christians, a lot of Christians, not all, December 25th. As told in the Great Religions of the World, page 330, it was the winter solstice celebrated by ancients as the birthday of the Mithraism sun god. According to Mithraism, before Mithra died on the cross, he celebrated the Last Supper with his 12 disciples, who represented the 12 signs of the zodiac. After the death of Mithra, his body was laid to rest in a tomb. Mithra had a celebrate priesthood. Mithra ascended into heaven during the spring Passover equinox, a time when the sun crosses the equator, making night and day of equal length. Pretty similar, right? The answer will be a yes. Another passage I'd like to read. What is this ancient cult? Mithras and Jesus, two sides of the same coin. By Flavio Barbario. Editor's note. While some people may be shocked to learn that Christianity's Jesus was not born on December 25th, historians have long known that this date was chosen because of a birth date of another famous individual, Mithras. Not surprising then, we learned that Mithras' birth was signaled by a shining star in the night sky, and that he was born to a virgin in the cave. Who was Jesus born to? A virgin. Who was he born to? A virgin. Before he died, Mithras had a Last Supper. Who had a Last Supper? Jesus had the Last Supper. Mithras has the Last Supper. And later came back to life from the dead. What the Christians say, he came back to life from the dead. But the historical facts that Christianity borrowed from Mithras goes much deeper. That's what he's saying, not my words. This boy right here. Flavio Barbario is a retired admiral in the Italian Navy who last served NATO. He is the author of 3 books, including the Bible Without Secrets, and is an archaeological researcher at the University of Bergamo. He lives in Italy. Now let's get to the actual passage. On 384 AD, Vitius Agorius Protextatus, the last praetor, last papa, acronym of the word pater patrum, father's father, of the so-called cult of Mithras, died in Rome. His name and his religious and political appointments are written on the basements of the St. Peter's Basilica, together with the names of a long list of other Roman senators, spanning from a period of 305 to 390. The one thing that they have in common is that all of them are patres of Mithras. As many as 9 amongst them have the supreme title of the Pater Patrum. Clear evidence that it was here inside the Vatican. It was here inside the Vatican that the supreme leader of the Mitraic organization, the Mithras organization, resided at the site of the most sacred Basilica of Christianity in the Vatican, erected by Constantine the Great. I call him the Ungreat because he changed real Christianity into paganistic Christianity. He changed Islam into the paganistic form of Christianity. In 320 AD, Constantine the Great erected that. For at least 70 years, the supreme leaders of 2 religions that were always supposed to be competitors, if not sworn enemies, lived peacefully and in perfect harmony side by side. It was the same Protextatus as perfect of tongue who defended Damascus against opponents on 367 and confirmed him as Bishop of Rome. Protextatus often declared that he willingly had accepted to be baptized. In Christianity, you're baptized. Here is baptism. Following his death, however, the opposite happened. The title of Pater Patrum fell today, what we would say is default, upon Damascus successors. The Bishop Cyriscus, who was the first in church history to assume the title of Pope.
Oh God.
Together with it, he took also upon himself a long series of prerogatives, titles, symbols, objects, and possessions that passed in Masse. I hope you know what the term in Masse is. From Mithraism to Christianity. It was a true handover from the Mithraic Pope to the Christian Pope that we can understand only in the light of what happened the year before in 383. On that date, the Senate almost unanimously voted for the abolition of the paganism and all its symbols in Rome. Throughout the Western Empire, a vote that always puzzled the historians because, in their opinion, the majority of the senators were